Right.
The Colts advantage Jonathan Taylor
right?
based on the news that came out of practice on Monday. And this is part of that. Just we're constantly on guard for wherever lightning can strike. And for the guys who tend to get hit in practice, not quarterbacks, but everyone else, you can get injured. And when you're the guy that plays the position where you always get hit from every possible direction and you run into the line of scrimmage, yeah, there's a chance something's going to happen. Zack Moss, Colts running back, guy that you mentioned yesterday as an alternative to Jonathan Taylor, guy that they traded for with the Bills during the 2022 season.
Right.
Broken arm, expected to miss about 6 weeks. So, and hey, injuries happen in training camp. It's part of the process of getting the body ready. We've talked about how the 2011 CBA potentially lays the foundation for more injuries during the season because the guys aren't properly prepared for the physical toll of practicing and playing in season. It's a little too easy in August, so when it gets real in September, you're not truly ready for it. But that process of getting the body ready exposes the body to a broken arm, which is now what Zack Moss is going to be recovering from, Chris. 6 weeks and advantage Jonathan Taylor, and situation between him and the Colts. More awkward, not less awkward after that one.
Yeah, more awkward, right? It's like, the lightning strike of karma almost right there on Jonathan Taylor's side after the last week and all the talk and the conversations with Jim Irsay and the tweets and all of that. Advantage Jonathan Taylor, like you're saying, but I don't know, does it change anything? I don't know if it changes anything. It's going to make them realize how important he is. It's going to, raise their level of awareness there a little bit about, we need him out here. Zack Moss was the second best thing we had going. Now we're into no-nameville in our running back room, and guys that are we really going to trust, and are we really going to trust this inexperienced guy next to our inexperienced quarterback who's learning the game too? So they're going to see the value, or at least feel the value, of Jonathan Taylor. But at the same time, Mike, right? I don't know if it really helps Jonathan Taylor. It helps them realize, or it helps in the fact that they realize how important he is. But it lessens his chance to being traded now. That's where it's a little weird. It's like, hey, wait, man, we wish you were back. We're a lot better when you're here, and man, our other guy's hurt. But wow, now we definitely can't trade you because the other guy's hurt and you're stuck here. So a little odd that way. But again, I don't think there's anybody in that locker room or a coach that doesn't realize or understand how important Jonathan Taylor is. It's about the money in the front office, and does that all meet ends, or ends meet there? And they're not right now for the front office of the Colts.
Other names I see on the current roster: Xavier Scott, Deion Jackson,
right.
Evan Hull, Jake Funk.
Right.
And obviously we're waiting for Jonathan Taylor to be cleared from the physically unable to perform list. And remember, the latest move on this chessboard that has been threatened by the Colts is to change the PUP list designation to non-football injury because of some back problem that the Colts, or someone connected to the Colts, leaked to a couple of reporters.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor has. He denies that he has a back issue. Here's Shane Steichen, the new head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, who surely would have preferred to be focusing on other things as he becomes a coach for the first time in his life, talking about Jonathan Taylor's health situation and when and if he'll be back at practice.
What does Jonathan Taylor have?
What's that?
What does Taylor have?
He's just dealing with something right now, and I'm going to refrain from getting into all that.
Shane, as you guys plan, are you expecting JT to play this year for you?
Yeah, right now he's on this football team. He's on this football team, and when the medical staff clears him, he should be out here.
And Shane Steichen looks like somebody, and I can't figure out who it is. That's going to bother me. Zach Braff?
Yeah.
Zach Braff, the guy
the
from
actor.
Scrubs?
Yeah, right. It could
Kind
be.
of.
There's some of that there. Yeah.
Kind of.
There's some. I see that too. There's somebody else.
He looks
though.
like that. He looks like that other guy too that was an actor and has the podcast.
Dak Shepard.
Dak Shepard.
He's Dak Shepard with darker hair. That's what I kind of see too. That's
demeanor.
the one. Right.
The demeanor.
It is.
The voice and the demeanor. When you add that to the look, that's the vibe that he gives off. Anyway, these are all. You come to this show for the most important high level analysis. So, the Taylor situation lingers, and Steichen said nothing.
No.
Everybody wants to know, is it his ankle, which is covered as a football injury because it dates back to last year? If it's the back, technically it isn't, even if he was injured while working out to get ready for camp. But here's the core of the problem. And I've tried to allude to this both in items I posted at PFT, and I posted a tweet about this yesterday, and we've seen the Colts have a history of doing this. Look, this is not a new phenomenon where business decisions are made about the running back position. And the reality is business decisions are made about every position, but there is a romanticism about the running back position. There's a myth about it. It's NFL film stuff, right? It's Jim Brown. It's Franco Harris. It's all the great running backs of the past. It's an important position from the perspective of the fans.
Yeah.
But from the perspective of the team, when you're talking about business, business is business. And I think what they'd like to do with Jonathan Taylor, if they could do it, if they could pull it off, have him for 4 years, tag him once, tag him twice, and let him go and replace him. Just like they did with Edgerrin James. Hall of Famer Edgerrin James finished his rookie contract. They tagged him once. They let him go. They drafted Joseph Adai, and they won the Super Bowl. And that was just the way it was. Marshall Faulk, 5-6 years with the team, trade him, draft Edgerrin James. That's that lather, rinse, repeat. That's how it goes. You get a running back, he becomes a star, he hangs around, but you never give him the big payday. You give the big payday to the quarterbacks, the receivers, the pass rushers, the corners. Those are the 4 positions that have surplus value, as we talked about last week. That's where the value comes from, giving them extra money significantly over and above what the average player makes. And with running back, you find one, he's good, but you know there's a shelf life. And you're going to let him go, and you're going to get another one. And then when that one, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, let him go, get another one. And Jonathan Taylor sees it coming, so he's trying to do something about it now. But they're not going to do anything about it now, because that was probably their plan when they drafted him. We'll keep him for 4 years. If he's great, we'll tag him once. If he plays well that year, we'll tag him again. And then it's bye-bye, Jonathan Taylor. We'll go draft somebody else in round 2.
Yeah, no, I think, well, again, it gets back into your conversation and what you kind of said yesterday, where running backs got to really, after the 3rd year, just go, I need a new contract, when they know they're good or they're a significant part of the offense. I do. I think that's going to have to happen. We can get back into the conversation again of, why didn't Jonathan Taylor make a bigger deal about this early on in the offseason? I don't understand that. That is very odd to me. And he could have really probably got his way or got some things figured out a little more, to his liking if he dove into this situation in early March. I don't understand that. You make the point about the running back thing. You're exactly right. Hey, running back's the most important position on the football field at every level except for really the NFL. And, of course, I know college we can make it, but college you can sit there and look and go, I don't know. It's close still. But the NFL, because of the quarterbacks, the receivers, there's no, time constraints on practice and how many plays you can put in and all that. Yeah, the NFL has found ways to skirt the traditional ways the running back needs to get yards or how the offense gets yards through the running back. We talked about that. The reverses, the screens, the speed sweeps, all of that stuff. The pick plays to the receivers, the tight ends, all of that. That's all something that takes yards away from the running back. So that's where it's tough for them, and I feel for them there. But, with this situation here, I don't know what the end game is. I mean, yeah, Mike, you're right. Everybody in the NFL is a 3 or 4 year rental for the most part, especially running back, right? And the good ones right now go to what you're talking about, where it's like, hell, they want to franchise them once or twice and then get rid of them. That's what they want. We've seen, teams like Shanahan, they draft the 49ers, they draft a running back almost every other year. We've seen the Patriots do kind of the same thing because it's by committee. No one wants to pay for it. But the Colts are a run-first football team. Jonathan Taylor is the best player on their offense. They have a rookie quarterback where we know they're not going to dice people up in the pass game in year 1 with him and live that way. So he does have great value to what they want to do. But like you said, it's too late in the game, and that's where I just don't understand, and I don't know if there's anything that can be really done at this point for Jonathan Taylor.
And, I said he should have held out. I said it the moment Jim Irsay posted his tweet.
I know you did.
Last Wednesday, delving into the whole running back conversation. And here's the problem. This goes back 30, 40, 50 years. In the 70s, the NFL realized one way to become even more popular than it was was embrace offense, embrace the passing game. The rule changes began to make it easier for receivers to get open, to make it easier for quarterbacks to stay upright and healthy long enough to get them the football. That made the game more exciting. Then fantasy football comes along, and as the running back begins to diminish in significance as the passing game opens up, fantasy football makes the running back, at least the ones currently on the teams doing what they're doing, they become more important because those great ones, that handful of great ones that is always in the NFL, is rushing for 15, 16, 1,700 yards and scoring 15, 17, 20 touchdowns. So the interest in fantasy football, which has helped fuel the overall interest in the NFL, has made the running back position seem more important in the eyes of fans because most fans play. I don't know what the numbers are, but I would say, a high percentage of fans play in at least one league. It's fun. It's a way to connect with friends and family, etc. But that defies the way teams view the running backs, and that's where it's all kind of come to a head. It's amazing it took as long as it did for it to really come to a head because this dynamic is not new. Treating the running back as a chew them up, spit them out position, and that's what it is. We're going to draft this guy. We have the rights to him for 4 years. We're going to use him up. And if he still has a lot left in the tank, we'll tag him. And if he still has anything left in the tank, we'll tag him again. And then it's see you later. And that's just the way the business goes. And that's why Jonathan Taylor should have been making business decisions. Now, I don't know if he didn't want to risk having to pay $40,000 a day. It would have been waivable because he's on his first contract.
Right.
Second contract with the Colts, it wouldn't be. But
why not in March, though? Have you ever heard anything there? Like, why?
I haven't.
Yeah, me neither.
No. Because that's the time to really agitate. That's the time, and it's even before March, because...
Yeah, you put it on the radar at the end of the season.
Exactly.
Right.
You put it, when you put it on the radar, Chris, you put it on the radar after he has 1,811 yards rushing and 20 total touchdowns in his second season. Hey, Colts, the window doesn't open on a new contract with Jonathan Taylor until the end of his third regular season. But I want to start this conversation now. I want to lay this foundation now because I want that contract done before the offseason program begins on his third season. The ankle injury screwed things up. I think the ankle injury took away from some of the natural leverage he'd have. If he'd had 2,000 rushing yards last year, it's a lot easier. Just like Christian McCaffrey. He had 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving in his third season. Third guy in NFL history to do it. Laid the foundation for the Panthers to just throw the money at him. He didn't have to hold out. He didn't miss a thing. They gave him $16 million a year. So I think the point is you have to have a plan that is activated as early as possible and ready to be implemented when that third season ends. And look, hey, I'm going to boycott the offseason program while you're recovering from ankle surgery. So what? See, that's part of the problem. The ankle injury that required surgery after the season threw a wrench in, I would assume, whatever plan he had, and it caused there to be no real plan other than let's get healthy and then we'll see where we are.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. He didn't feel like he had solid ground to stand on, right, with the ankles. Let's see where it is. Let's see how healthy or how long it takes to get healthy. That's a tough spot here. It is. Now, like the Colts, where I just posed the question as, a fan or somebody wondering, like, what is Jonathan Taylor's worth to their football team here a little bit? Jonathan Taylor's going into year 4. He rushed for 1,000 yards in year 1, 1,800 yards in year 2, was on his way to 1,000 yards and had the ankle injury and kind of dealing with that through a good portion of the year last year, right? He's a physical freak and a physical specimen. He is. Is he in their long-term plans at all? That's what I wonder. And I guess by the answers they're giving us right now, no, or they want to wait and see what happens during this year. I know he had a lot of carries at Wisconsin, so he's been in a lot of car crashes there as well. Is that on their radar? Do they think his body is going to continue to fall apart here, right? To me, and I'm just throwing this out there, and I know I'm not trying to tell the Colts how to run their business here too, but like Jonathan Taylor a little bit, I think, has a little of that Saquon aspect that I brought up, Mike, too, where, I don't see the end of the road here next year or the year after that quite yet. Not yet. This is a physical specimen who is arguably, you could say he's one of the fastest running backs in football when you get him out in the open. I don't think he's hit that wall yet. And can't we find a way to, give him a 2-year extension with a nice signing bonus or something like that if you feel like he's got some wear and tear left on his tires? I guess that's what I'm a little surprised about in some of these situations, especially with a team like the Colts, where it feels like the run game is going to be, priority number one for their football team.
Two things. One, this gets back to something you were saying yesterday.
Yeah.
And you got to consider Jonathan Taylor's mindset right now. When he suffered that ankle injury last year, remember, he has never missed a practice in his football career. He'd never missed a game. He wants to get back and reestablish himself. It's a pride thing. It's I want to show everybody that I've overcome this injury. I have to go play. They use it against them.
I know.
The love of the game, the desire to compete, that thirst to create a legacy for yourself and be a star NFL player. They use that against you. It's a privilege to play in the NFL. That's all part of the grift that's done to get the players to show up, even if they're not happy with their contract situation. And look back to the Colts' history. And the one common denominator through all of it is Jim Irsay.
Yeah.
They had Marshall Faulk,
Yeah.
Hall of Famer, one of the all-time greats. Once they traded him, they became a perennial playoff team. Before they traded him, they weren't. They trade him. They got Peyton Manning, perennial playoff team. Then they have Edgerrin James, perennial playoff team. They let him walk away in free agency, and they win a Super Bowl the next year. So play this out. Year 4 for Jonathan Taylor, no long-term contract. Tag him once or twice. Anthony Richardson becomes the guy they expect him to be. Very easy explanation. Well, our offense is transformed from passing to running. Or, hey, everybody's focused on Anthony Richardson, who's become exactly the superstar we thought he was going to be. We can throw a rock and hit a running back and put that guy in place of Jonathan Taylor. We don't need to pay a guy a bunch of money at running back when the guy who makes our offense go is a quarterback, just like Peyton Manning was, and just like Andrew Luck was. They didn't have a great running back during that period of time that Andrew Luck was the centerpiece of their offense. So I think the way that it dovetails, Chris, by the time they've decided we've got all we need out of Jonathan Taylor and he can go play for some other team, Anthony Richardson becomes the guy that is their offense.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I would agree. That's the master plan, right? I mean, I hear that. I know that. But, with Anthony Richardson, it isn't Andrew Luck or Peyton Manning. This is a guy that, we all know, and, we talked about a lot in the draft process. He's raw. There's going to be it's going to take some time. They're going to have to ride his.
You got Jonathan Taylor for 3 years.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know. That's what's crazy. And that's where we get into the conversation again, too, of.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.